Well, really great to be back. I want you to know the photograph that we're going to put on the slide here for you that Sherry took. And I think this is about time she started shooting with a Canon. Some of her previous pictures were Konica Minolta and then Nikon. But I'm pretty sure these were the shots with her Canon. And the Canon just has this beautiful ability with Sherry's standing behind the lens just to record moments. And so this is a butterfly presentation. So we begin with one, we'll also conclude with one. And that is alfalfa that's in bloom. And that swallowtail is just going along, sucking the nectar out. That deep background. Sherry, I just am so thrilled with this picture. Thank you for that. What an incredible ministry she has for us. We applaud you. We're in we're in part 7, which today in part 7, I'm going to take you through chapter 2, chapter 7, chapter 8, chapter 9, and chapter 12. And what I want to do is in these next few slides is I want to consolidate a theme on the right-hand side of these slides for you to show you that Daniel, God is my judge, is a book about the good news that the hour of his judgment has come in Revelation 14. And that's just one of these beautiful connections of the book of Daniel to the book of Revelation, because it's all about God is my judge as good news. And I hope you catch that in our presentation today. So, on our first slide, it says Daniel chapter 2 at the top left. And in that statue, we had the gold, and that was Babylon. Then we had the bronze with the Medes and Persians, silver, Greece, Rome, the monster. And then we had the unstable world, the stone is cut out of the mountain, and it brings down all of the world empires, and it turns into a great mountain, Mount Zion, and God's kingdom is established forever. That is the story of Daniel chapter 2 in less than a minute. Okay? Just a very simple, beautiful story, but look at the climax of that story is the judgment scene of how God's kingdom is established. Now, on our next slide here, I'm adding Daniel chapter 7. And so, God again takes Daniel, only this time he's going to tell Daniel a story not about the metals, the precious metals of gold, silver, bronze, etc. He is going to use the personality of animals. So in Daniel 7, we have the winged lion, Babylon. We have the bear that rears up on 3 legs and one in the air with 3 ribs in its mouth. You have the multi-headed winged leopard that is, of course, Greece. Then you have the monster with a little horn in chapter 7. And then look at the summary there in the blue. The heavenly scene, the judgment is set. The judgment is found in favor of the saints, and the beast is judged. Now, that is the entire chapter 7 just laid out for you, and you get a sense of the empires and their beastly personalities. But you also notice in Daniel 7:22 that the Ancient of Days comes forward and finds judgment in favor of the saints, and it is the beast that is judged. So we should have joy in the judgment. Okay? Notice Daniel chapter 8. Now this is going to go so quickly you're going to go, whoa, wait, what happened? This presentation is too fast. In Daniel 8, God does something really remarkable now, because Babylon, the empire, is no longer in existence, is fading away. So God then takes Daniel and he begins with the Medes of Persian, and we're introduced to the ram, followed by the he-goat, which represents Greece. This is interpreted in the book of Daniel chapter 8, so we don't have to guess who these are. But then notice there's a little horn that arrives on the scene. It sets up an earthly counterfeit sanctuary. But then notice the conclusion of chapter 8. The heavenly court restores, cleanses, and sets right the heavenly sanctuary and breaks the power of the little horn. Are you noticing on the right-hand side a theme that is running there in the blue? That there's the establishment of God's kingdom forever, bringing the end of man's domain and violence. Then there's a judgment scene of the vindication for the saints. And now there's a restoration of the distortion of the sanctuary in heaven. And the little horn that distorted it faces judgment. Are you ready for chapter 9? Chapter 9, which we are going to be presenting following this presentation. The Messiah is killed in this chapter. Iniquity is atoned for. Everlasting righteousness will come in. And the little horn that has distorted the truth about God and his ministry in heaven is made desolate. So, as we look at the concept of God is my judge, Daniel is blessed with the revelation of the good news of the judgment. I mean, why can you not get excited about iniquity being atoned for through the death of Christ? Why can you not be excited about the gift of everlasting righteousness being made manifest on earth and then gifted to every human being? Why cannot we have unlimited joy that that little horn power of violence and persecution against the saints is made desolate and judged? Why, you are vindicated. Is this going too fast for you? This is not going to be a long presentation. I'm just walking you through because we're going to walk through chapter 9 together in the details. But I needed to let you see this layout of the entire book. Now I'm going to jump to chapter 12, the end of the book. So I'm skipping over 10 and 11. But notice what happens in Daniel chapter 12. Michael, the great prince, is going to stand up. Now, what is a prince? Well, he is a son of the king. In this case, he is the son of the king of the universe. Who is God's son? So many people argue about who Michael the great prince is, but he is the son of the king of the universe. That should not be a dispute. And he has the ability to stand up and deliver God's people, which is Christ's job. It's his work. It's his gift. He has the power of resurrection, and he establishes the eternal kingdom. So the judgment scenes of Daniel, every one of them is good news, good news, good news, all the way down to the end of the book of Daniel. Now, I needed you just to see this slide and let this picture settle in. We get to look at the human empires as they come and go from the scene. Okay? We get to see towards the end religious persecution begins to emerge. Something happens in religion that Daniel just cannot resolve in his mind. He's stunned at what happens to the future of religion from his perspective. But he gets to see God setting it right all the way down to everlasting life. This is the overall theological theme of the book of Daniel. His very name is good news. It means God is my judge. In God I am vindicated, I am redeemed, I am made right, and I am fully restored. Now, what couldn't be more exciting than that as a gospel proclamation in the Old Testament? Now, I know some people's theology is they make judgments scary about the everlasting burning fire of the lake, a little hellfire. I know it made public news. One denomination said we cannot give up this concept of judgment being the lake of fire and rotisseраting people, burning them forever and ever without scaring them into the church. They couldn't let go of it. But you see, in the book of Daniel, judgment is about vindication. It's not a scary thing at all. It's the best news in the whole world. It's about being fully restored in Christ. Michael, the great prince, the Son of God, resurrecting, restoring, establishing, and delivering. And he delivers you every day that you're willing. Isn't that just an amazing story? We didn't take too much time on this, I know. This is a very short presentation. But I just want you to go back and just look at the beauty of this book. Look at the good news contained in this book. It is the best news in the whole world. It sets the stage for a deeper, fuller understanding of the book of Revelation. Without Daniel, you miss so much good in Revelation. Those two books, one starts a verse of the poem and the other finishes it. You need to keep them connected. It's a beautiful story. And I'd like to close with this beautiful butterfly that is sitting there right on top. That blue one, there's a monarch in the background. And again, I just want to say thank you to Sherry. Appreciate her work. Sherry is just awe-inspiring, and I hope you've enjoyed this. Please, it's such a short, quick presentation. Go back to the beginning. Take it slow. Take out the book of Daniel now and read it. And look at the simple outline and set it against the book and look at the good news as it unfolds verse after verse after verse. Enjoy. Blessings. Can't wait to see you as we look at the details of chapter 9. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.